Welcome everybody to a really fun and easy informational lesson for many of you on your brand new or maybe new-ish HandiQuilter Stitch 510. Now, if you haven't heard me talk about why I love this machine, real quick, it's a straight stitch only machine, which I think is perfect for patchwork and the free motion machine quilting or stitch in the ditch style quilting, as well as it's kind of a mid-industrial machine. But it's not about selling you all the machine. I know many of you have it and have been asking for a little quick refresher video on how to wind bobbins, which style of needles, and how to thread the machine. So I'm going to encourage you not only to subscribe to our channel here at Stitchin Heaven, but I also am going to encourage you to bookmark this video or save it into your history so that you can return to it anytime you need help threading your HandiQuilter 510. So here we go. Welcome to another wonderful video from us right here at Stitchin Heaven on YouTube. I am Rob Appell, a quilt maker, and if you didn't know it, I actually used to be a sewing machine technician, repairman, and educator as well. So it's one of the reasons I absolutely love this style, and I'm just going to say this style for a moment because even though this is the HandiQuilter Stitch 510, it's a straight stitch only machine, perfect for patchwork and free motion machine quilting. But there are other manufacturers that have models that are basically identical to this. So I'm going to teach you how to thread, wind your bobbin, talk to you about some needles and some oiling spots that are really important on this machine. So even if yours doesn't say HandiQuilter, if it looks just like this, it's probably like this. The HandiQuilter itself has a couple of features that are, I think, better than some of the other ones, but it's not a sales video. This is a how-to video. So let's get into the bobbin winding. And the first thing I will point out, because it's designed for machine quilting, it actually has two thread holders on the back. The one at the back of the machine, closest to your hand wheel, is designed for winding your bobbin threads. And actually, you can wind bobbin threads while you're sewing with the thread going through the needle because you're using separate spools. It's very easy to thread. You want to make sure that your thread tower has the little hooks and they're directly over the top of the thread spools. That helps your thread come off really nice and smooth. And there's a little opening towards the back that you just drop your thread in and let it go. Your next stop, oh, and I really should point out as well, the top of your HandiQuilter machine, I apologize, I don't know if the other ones do this, but the HandiQuilter has a thread guide printed right on the machine. The dotted lines are the bobbin thread, the straight lines are your needle thread. Okay, so we're going to follow the dotted lines and we're going to next stop under this little hook. The little hook back here by the bobbin is only for bobbin winding, it's not for your needle thread. I like to come and do a figure 8 around the tensioning device, putting my finger on the thread and pulling that in nice and taut so there's good tension there. And then as I head over to the bobbin is going to have a little rectangular opening, so the thread goes from where it's going to live inside the bobbin out that rectangle with any luck possible. Then I drop the bobbin onto the post, push over to engage the bobbin motor, and then just touch this button. Hang on to your thread, touch the button again. If it's cotton thread, folks, a lot of times you can just pull it to break, but I like to use scissors in here if I'm using anything other than cotton. Go ahead and let the machine wind out the rest of the bobbin for you. The machine will stop when the bobbin is all but perfectly filled, and I don't want it to go all the way out to the edge because in my bobbin case, I have an extra special thing called a check spring. So I'm going to bring that forward now to show you. I almost ran out of thread yesterday, it looks like. I won on bobbin chicken though, and that bobbin's now done, so that's the perfect timing. Now, if I bring this in really close for you, and I'm going to use this little pencil as a pointer, inside of here, I'm hoping you can see that there's this little circular device. And that circular device, it looks like the thing that goes on your bag of bread. But what it really does is it helps hold tension on your bobbin. So what I want you to do, and this is something you really want to know how to do yourself, is test your bobbin tension. So you're going to put your bobbin case with the opening up, put your bobbin with your thread kind of coming off of it like it's a number 6. Drop it in, pull it over to what comes out the little groove and into that hole. Now this might be different than all your bobbins at home. And here's something funny, folks. I stole this machine from my colleague Tiffany Hayes because I have mine at home and well, long story. Let's see if her bobbin is adjusted properly. I haven't checked. So what I want to do is, as I pull on my thread, I want to be able to lift the bobbin case, but not get the thread all the way off of the machine. So in my opinion, this is a little bit taut, but it's not my machine, so I'm not going to play with it much. We'll just adjust it a little bit for her. Okay, so what we're going to do to adjust our bobbin case is there's a small little screw, and there's a little bit larger than that small little screw. And you can actually almost put your fingernail or a little screwdriver in there, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. And now as I go to pick it up, you can see that there's a lot less tension on that thread. And that's because that check spring is going to help inside. The opening goes to the top, locks right in here. And I push it to hear it click, but my real trick is then I take my thread and as I pull on it, the bobbin case and the bobbin itself doesn't fall back out into my hand. So that's how I do that. I would normally just close the door and then get ready for threading. So anytime you're threading a sewing machine, this is general knowledge, there's a presser foot lever generally on the back. So we always go ahead and we take this and we lift it to the up position. What that really does is it opens up your tension assembly. Cut your thread at the spool. This is going to keep all the lint running out of your machine. Pull it from above the eye of the needle and take all the thread out in sewing direction. That's going to take all of the extra built up lint out and away from the machine. We do not want to get lint pulled back into our tension discs. That can cause a problem because the lint can get bigger than the thread. In order to thread this machine, I'm going to use the spool that is now closer to the needle. I'm going to go ahead and find my thread tail. Oh! Hang on for a second. As soon as I finish this threading, I'm going to show you a trick for a much easier way to thread. But you need to know how to do it correctly before you can use my trick. Up through the other thread guide. And now from this, folks, we're going to go to what's called a pre-tension. There's a little bar sticking out and there's 3 holes in it. I like to go through the first. I like to go through the first hole, up and over the top, twisting and through the 3rd hole. I don't know why there's a 2nd hole in there. Don't ask, I didn't design the machine. So it comes out of that last hole and then right into these discs. These discs keep the thread out, keep the twist out of the thread. You're not going to be tightening it and loosening this. Folks, just go ahead and leave that alone. It just applies a little bit of pressure. This larger number with larger dial with all the numbers down here, that's how you set your tension. And that's what we're going to do now. We're going to come through our tension discs. Remember, the discs are open because the foot is up. Once I come through the disc, there's a little thing called a check spring here as well. I'm over the top, pulling down, and at this point, I like to lower the presser foot. And now you can see your check spring is bouncing up and down, and you can feel there's tension on the thread. If there's not, you want to stop and restart. From this point, I'm going to go back up through the thread guide, and this has an eyelet, so I can't clip it through my take-up lever. I've got to thread it through. Back down. There's a thread guide here, and the one that can be a little bit challenging when the needle and the foot are in, the opening is behind the needle. So I like to hold it like dental floss and come all the way around and let it slide off the top of my finger. Let me do that again in case you didn't get to see it. Hold it like dental floss, loop it around my finger, and as I come around the back of that opening, I just let it slide off, and I got it. Can you tell I've been using this machine for years or what? Okay, so now the needle, this is going to be something that may be different for many of you. Remember, our bobbin case was right here, so the eye of the needle is also right here. So this is now going to thread seriously from left to right, not front to back. I'm going to go ahead and there is a built-in needle threader, so if that comes all the way down and rocks to the front of the needle, I form a loop around the backside. I bring the thread up so I can see that it's bending on that hook, and as I slowly pull through, I have to let the thread out of that left hand so that there's a loop that forms at the needle. Grab that little loop and pull it all the way through. At that point, the machine is completely threaded. I always like to lift the presser foot up and pull some thread to make sure everything is running smoothly and I don't have any snags anywhere. At that point, we are ready to rock and roll. Now that the machine's threaded, I can talk to you about a couple of the different presser feet that I utilize. The one that comes with the machine is the 1/4 inch foot here. The The one that I strongly recommend for machine quilting is what's called a spring hopping foot. This foot's going to go up and down with the stitches if you're doing your free motion quilting. And because the feed dogs don't drop completely on this machine, we just set them to 0 and we cover them with our industrial stitch plate. Let me show you how to do that in case some of that information is also new to all of you. So to begin with, the presser foot is considered high shank. Machines generally come in high shank or low shank. I really need you to remember that this machine is a high shank machine. So if you're ever getting accessories, I want you to be aware, high shank, high shank, high shank. I like to have the presser foot in the up position as I slide the foot under, and there's the screw right over here that's going to lock in, and I actually then like to lower my presser foot completely because the machine is now going to put pressure where pressure belongs, and then I'll come in here with a screwdriver, and it's a flathead that I'll just tighten up ever so slightly. You do not need to make it so tight you can't get it off later, because you're going to want to get it off later because you're going to want to put on your other foot. To put on the other foot, lift your presser foot first, take your screwdriver and slightly loosen it so that you can get it out of the way. If you're struggling, there's another trick I can teach you. I can go ahead and grab this presser foot lifter and lift it up a little higher so I can just get that foot right out of the way. And that can be pretty cool. So now, before I put on the free motion foot, I'm just going to take a second and switch out plates. To switch out plates, you have 2 beveled screws, also flathead. These are not replaceable at the hardware store. Please do not lose these screws, folks. They have a slight bevel head, and it's what allows you to put your stitch plate back on perfectly. So either plate that you're using, you're going to want to take off the bobbin door, switch out plates, line it up with your feed dogs, and then as you take these little beveled screws, you're going to go ahead and drop them back into the stitch plate and tighten them up. I like to finger tighten them first because that's going to mechanically push the stitch plate down right where it belongs. You want to take the door? And then I'll go ahead and put my screwdriver in it just to tighten it up slightly. Once I have that in, I'm going to lock in the plate. And now here's what's really important about putting on the hopping foot. The free motion hopping foot, this part here, that's going to go where the other part from the other presser foot went. But we also need to get this little bar up and over the screw that holds the needle in place. So what I like to do is I first kind of come in with the foot sideways from the back of the machine. Then I'm going to slide it under, and I'm going to first come in and I'm going to find where this screw is. And after I start to hit the screw, then I'm going to make sure that the top of that needle bar, or that bar, comes up over the needle screw. And then I'm going to let it hang here gently without putting the presser foot down. And then I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up. A free motion foot floats over the top of the fabric while the machine is going up and down. So it's a little harder to tell when the presser foot is down, but you can definitely make sure that your thread is still engaged with tension like that. So one of the things I was starting to talk about earlier on this particular machine that I don't believe is available on the other styles like this sewing machine will not operate if the presser foot is in the up position. Your lights will flash on the front that are your needle down, needle up indicator lights. What that means is your foot is not ready to sew and you're going to get a big thread jam. So I love that, love that, love that about this machine. My last version of this machine didn't do it, and I cannot tell you how many times I had to get my seam ripper out and restart. So I love that feature. This machine will not sew with the foot in the wrong position. And I also promised you a really cool trick on how to rethread, and I believe you all deserve that now. Once you understand how the machine is designed to be threaded, you have my permission to thread the efficient way. So let's say you want to change out threads, right? I want to go from my black thread to my purple thread. I'm going to cut the thread at the top of the spool, and I take my old thread and set it aside. I'm going to grab my new color thread, and as a matter of fact, might be easier for me to make this happen from this side of the machine. What I do is I bring my new thread up and over the thread guide. I grab my old thread. I take the two of them. I was going to make up some silly knot that I couldn't even think of, so obviously I blew that punchline, folks. Let's pretend like it's a double hitch trucker knot or something like that, but it's really just a loop or two. Now, once this knot is formed, you lift your presser foot up, you grab the thread above the eye of the needle, and as you start to pull, it's really cool. That knot will pull extra lint out, so it's going to go through, and let's just repeat them together. The first hole, up and over to the third hole, through the tensioner, up to the actual tension guide, down the take-up lever, thread guide 1, thread guide 2, and as you come out here, now the thread knot is no good, so I just cut that off on my needle or my thread cutter, lower presser foot to confirm I have tension, and then of course, you want to be in front of the machine to use your needle threader. So you come around here, and now you're going to see how this works with the foot on. I lower the lower the needle threader, make that same loop, bring up that thread, and rotate to pull it out there. Grab my loop, and I should be ready to go. If I was really free motion machine quilting, one of the things I love to do to get started, use your needle down, needle up button, but it will put the needle down immediately, so watch your fingers, down and up. And now as I pull up, I immediately have my bobbin thread tail as well. Couldn't be simpler. But I do want you to go ahead and save this video in your favorites in case you ever need information again on how to switch out that foot, maybe on how to wind your bobbin, how to insert your needle. Remember, the flat side goes to the back. I mentioned that, as I said, the eye goes through. I also want to encourage you to understand the differences of your needles. We have another great video out there that talks all about different needles for different styles of quilting and different kinds of machines. I actually prefer the HL X5 needles on this machine, sizes 11 and 14, and we've got those for you here nowadays at Stitchin Heaven. So thanks for checking out today's video. I hope it really helped. If there's something else you would like to learn about your new HandiQuilter Stitch 510, please let us know in the comments below, and I will do everything in my power to get that answered for you right here on video. Thanks, and stay well. And you thought I was going to forget to show you all how to oil the machine, but I just needed a moment to get it all set up for us. So we have 4 spots to oil. 3 of them you're going to do about once every month or so. The 4th one we're going to do about every 3 or 4 full bobbins. So let's start with the less than regular. You have 2 holes on the top of the machine. There's a hole far back that has a screw in it. If there's a screw in it, don't put oil in it. But there's a hole right here, and the oil will drop all the way to the lower shaft. There's a hole right here, right above the take-up lever and the pre-tensioner. That has a wick in it. So you're oiling a wick. Please do not over oil it, but know that 3 or 4 drops once a month is about the perfect amount, and that oils all this upper end. And then as you come down, I'm going to use my pointer here. There is a sponge right on the lower drive shaft, right on the tip of my pointer. You can see it with your open eye, maybe not from where you're standing at the moment, but there's a little sponge in there, 3 or 4 drops on that as well. Now, like most sewing machines, you have the hook bobbin race, which is the circular part that goes around. You can see it moving right now. So I like to lower this. Of course, I'm going to dust it out before I put any oil on it. And then I like to put 2 drops of oil right in the area where the outer metal ring goes around the inner metal ring. Then I'll run the machine for just a few moments without any thread in it at all to get all the lubrication right where it goes. And that's that. Some of us have been taught to always run a little scrap of fabric through to make sure that any residual oil is out of the way. I also recommend that because I would hate to be wrong, but I haven't ever had that be a problem. The one thing I will remind you and caution you, please do not over oil the part right above your needle. There is a wick and gravity could take over, so make sure it's only a couple of drops and literally only every 4 to 6 weeks if you're using the machine as often as I am. And I certainly hope you are. And I certainly hope that helped. And I certainly hope I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. It really helps support our channel. If you haven't subscribed, do so now. Hit the little button to be notified every time we go live or do a new video for all of you. And here's one from the past I think you'll really enjoy.